to order so we can get right away. I'll have Dan, you can move, and Brian, you can second the recommendation that the agenda for the March 2nd, 2021 Township Wellington North Rec and Parks and Leisure Committee meeting be accepted and passed. All those in favor? Thank you. I don't have any disclosure of pecuniary interest. How about you, Councillor Yates?
Nope.
Councillor Milne?
None, thank you.
Excellent, thank you. You'll see the minutes of the previous meeting. Those were approved by council on February 8th, so you can move on from there. I don't think I have any business arising from those minutes.
Just a question, Mr. Chair, if I might. I note in the minutes that our discussion surrounding surrounding the operational costs and maintenance required for a clay infield. There was going to be a report brought to this meeting. I don't see that report. Was there a delay in getting that together, or what happened there?
Matt, I'll let you field that. Get it?
Yep. Yeah, and thank you, Chair McCabe, and good question, Member Milne. I think staff would like another month, and we're hoping to meet with Jim Donald just to have a conversation. But there was a report that was drafted. It wasn't to a point. We would like to meet with Jim Donald just to have a conversation on site, and we didn't have that opportunity in last month.
Okay, that's fine. I was just I think time is sort of the essence here. I know the Donald family are anxious to get this in place, and I wouldn't want to see this drag on and having to do the ball diamond in the middle of the summer. That's all. So anyway, that's fine. Thank you.
Go ahead, Matt.
Yep, and Chair McCabe, that's a fair comment. So staff understands.
Okay, so
Thanks.
We can probably expect that for the next meeting then, likely. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Thanks, Brian, for bringing that up. Moving along, I will pass it back to Matt with the report on the Optimism playground, and probably you'll have some words of wisdom from Mandy as well. So.
Yep, and thank you, Chair McCabe. And it's been Mandy who's been doing the legwork as it relates to just getting the color scheme for the playground put forward, and included in your agenda package is sort of what the color scheme is envisioned to look like. I'll defer to Mandy as it relates to, I think it's been reviewed by the Optimisms, but I may or may not know that exactly. Through you, Chair McCabe.
Yeah, please go ahead, Mandy.
Sure, thank you, Chair McCabe. So on Friday morning, myself, Shauna Lougheed, the president of the Optimisms, and Steve met on site just to kind of go over the point of the meeting was to go over the accessible ramp that the Optimisms was looking at putting in. When we were on site discussing that, we did notice the current playground that's about 2 feet lower on that site than the pavilion and the pool deck. So Steve had mentioned that we would be having to raise the playground a little bit, which would help with some of the drainage. At that meeting, Shauna did mention that she had circulated the design to the Optimisms, and everyone that she had heard back from was very much in favor of the color scheme.
Yeah, and it's Steve from the company that was there. I wasn't there, just to.
Oh yes.
Yeah, no, I think the park looks neat. The pictures, the rendering are good. Hard to believe that there's 2 foot difference in elevation there, but sounds like it's going to probably work out. Was there any timeline again with when they could start, or? Yeah, please.
So pending approval at this committee and then approval at council, Park and Play will be able to order our equipment in, and he's aiming for an end of May installation. He said from start to finish, it should take about 5 to 7 days to have it fully installed, removed and installed.
Wow, it's impressive. Hopefully that remains to be seen, but hopefully that's true though. So. Any questions for Mandy or Matt from the committee? Yeah, go ahead, Dan.
Just some clarification. What was the issue with the elevation?
I'll let you Go ahead, Mandy.
Sure, thank you, Chair McCabe. So when we were meeting on site, the Optimism Club had initially discussed putting in a accessible ramp into their pavilion. When we met on site, Steve from Park and Play had noticed that there was about a 2 foot elevated slope, I guess, down to where the playground sits. And he thought that maybe we are fixing the playground site itself and fixing the drainage in the new playground equipment, that it will actually be raised and there may not be enough Optimism to put in an accessible ramp.
Okay.
So it'll be pretty well leveled out then.
Okay. Yeah. No, I got you. Just needed some clarification.
Sure. Thanks. Thanks, Dan. Ryan, do you have any questions at all? I have a recommendation that the Rec, Parks and Leisure Committee recommend that the Council of Township of Wellington North approve design number 3 from Park and Play. I'm going to have you move that, Brian, and Dan, if you're all right with seconding it. All in favor? Thank you. That's great. That'll be nice to see that by the end of May or start of April, depending on the weather. So thank you all for that participation. I'll pass it over to you, Tom and Matt, with regards to the Arthur Arena floor.
Yep, and thank you, Chair McCabe. So the sequence of events for the last month has been, so BM Ross was very involved with putting together, am I echoing or no?
I think we all are.
Okay, so sorry. But BM Ross was very involved with putting together the 2019-2020 submission for ICIP. So we had relied on them to put forward a engineering firm to help us with replacing the floor of the Arthur Arena. After talking with that firm for 2 to 3 weeks, that firm decided they weren't interested. And since then, what we've done is we've talked to a local contractor who is putting together a price. We're hopeful by the end of next week, we're going to have a price. The local contractor knows what the budget is, and we're hoping to get more done than maybe what we initially planned. But the devil's always in the detail, I guess. So we're just waiting on that price. The other thing I would say to this committee is once we get the price, time is of the essence. So I would like to push it through council if the price is within budget. That was kind of my comments on this item.
I got a quick question. Why doesn't there seem to be that much interest in it? Do you know, Tom or Matt? Or like, why are we having trouble finding quotes for it? Sorry, go ahead.
Yep, I was just going to say, like, we were working, the intent was to have an engineering firm sort of spec it out and then quote it for us, which would be consistent with our procurement policy. We're having trouble finding engineering service providers that are able to do that. And we do have a local contractor who is very capable of doing this type of work. I've also talked to the building department, and as it relates to the floor replacement, we don't need a building permit. So, you know, a local contractor might, anyway, it's a big ticket item, but it might be the better solution.
So you're thinking one source?
If the number comes in under budget, I'm willing to go as a staff member to put forward a recommendation for a sole source. That may or may not be the best idea, and I'm subject to committee's criticism, but that's kind of what we're pursuing. Yes.
Well, I think if we can't get any quotes from anyone or not getting any much interest from any engineering firms, I think this is probably maybe the way to go. It might not be orthodox, but we timing's of the essence as well, seeing as the arena's not being used that much. So go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, and I would defer to Tom as it relates to, I think Tom might have had some conversations with Lacrosse. So I do think time is of the essence.
All right, Dan, it looked like you had your hand up. Were you gonna?
No. I just, you know, I tend to agree with it. I mean, if you can't get the engineering services, then it's, you know, it's tough to get contractors. Like you said just a moment ago, time is of the essence. Here's an opportunity when the facility isn't being used. And I guess if we can do this with as little disruption as possible, then that's better for everybody. So yeah, if this is the way we need to go to get this done in an expedient manner, and I would assume and I would hope a quality job, then I'm okay with that.
Yeah, me too. Go ahead, Brian.
Just in the interest of full disclosure, are we announcing who the sole source contractor is or not?
Go ahead, Matt.
Yep, through you, Chair McCabe. I'd rather not at this time, to be honest.
And that's fine. I just, okay.
I think you'd be familiar with them, but
I just wanted to avoid any disclosure. Exactly. I mean, I have no idea who you're talking about in terms of a contractor. I have my suspicions, but I don't know. But if it's the one I'm thinking of, I've got a conflict and I need to declare it. So that's why I asked.
Yeah. I think when that time comes, then we can do that, Brian. Sorry, go ahead, Matt.
Okay.
Yep. I think it even makes it easier then to just push it through council if we get a price, and the resolution or the recommendation from council will be that council will have to waive portions of the procurement policy, but I'd rather not say who it is right now. There's a number of contractors that in the area that could do this type of work.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll leave it at that just for now, because I think there are, like Matt said, more than one. So it's not just a sole search right now, but yeah, that's probably wise to drive it through council with the numbers that we get, Matt. Tom, do you have anything to add to that?
No, through you, Chair McCabe. Matt had alluded to Lacrosse. They're on board with this. I spoke to the president yesterday. He said this is a better year than a year that they'll have full play. They have some restrictions in place this year already with no body contact, and they don't feel they'll have a full complement of teams this year. So he's aware. I said I would let him know as soon as we have confirmation that we're going to start breaking up that floor. I would let him know in advance, and we would move them up to Mount Forest, and he's fine with that.
Okay, that sounds good. Thanks, Tom. Any other questions for Matt or Tom? Yeah, go ahead, Dan. You're on mute, Dan. Sorry.
Just thanks to you, Tom, for kind of getting this all organized. It's a big, it can be a bit of a nightmare trying to get things organized, and it sounds like you've kind of got things pre-organized if and when this goes ahead. So thanks for doing that. It saves a lot of aggravation on a lot of people's parts. So thank you.
He's been aware for quite a few years, Dan. I've tried to have this on the book, so.
Backhanded compliment. Thanks, Tom. All right, if there's no other questions, we'll move on to the ad hoc committee, and I will defer to you, Matt.
Yep. Thank you, Chair McCabe. Yeah, the recommendation is just that we had a meeting last week. The Lions have endorsed sort of a sign design, which I don't think committee will have much issue with. Yeah, and then the idea of just moving forward with a pool design RFP in the next 3 months, I'll say. That was kind of the conversation. The one thing of the conversation that maybe isn't captured in the resolution is that the fundraising committee is at least considering hiring like a professional fundraiser. Other than that, I'm open to questions as it relates to those minutes.
Thanks, Matt. I have just one quick one. Like, they know that this is just the design work for what they want kind of as add-ons, right? Like the council doing the pool design and stuff like this. This is just add-ons. Is that, they fully understand that?
Yeah, through you, Chair McCabe. I think they understand that. I think the 51,000 that has been approved by budget is basically just to replace our existing pool, bringing it up to modern standards. But a component of that from a fundraising standpoint is some of the additional features. And that's what the expectation would be from that group to fundraise.
Okay, thank you for that. Any questions from, yep, go ahead, Dan.
So Matt, so where do we go with, so the township is kind of prepared to replace the existing footprint of the existing pool. And then we've got these add-on features that the fundraising committee is going to fundraise for to add on. So where are we, when do we get to the point where here's the design of the pool, and then you guys throw in your add-ons, and then we kind of overlay those to see what it's going to look like as a final completed project. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if I'm explaining that.
Yeah, go ahead, Matt.
Yep. No, through you, Chair McCabe. I understand what you're saying, Member Yates, and I think we need to be clever in crafting the RFP such that it replaces what we have, and then it gives us, I'm going to say, 2 or 3 options that could be fundraised for. But I understand what you're saying.
Carry on.
So are we at a design? We're not at a design point yet, correct?
Yep. Through you, Chair McCabe. I think that's the question. Staff would like to go out to engage someone who knows how to design a pool. Staff does not know how to design a pool, so that'll, if this is endorsed and then council endorses it, then staff's at a position where, even though it's been approved through budget, it's more explicit, I guess, that's the path we're taking.
Okay. So the $51,000 that we have budgeted, that is going to go towards our design process?
Or the portion
more
of
the features that are in the pool right now, I think. Is that right, Matt?
Correct. Yeah, it's going to, the 51,000 is going to design a duplicate of what we have in 2021 standards.
Okay.
Which means it's going to be a little different as far as it's going to have accessibility features. The change rooms might be they're going to be different than what they are, but I think that's kind of the intent or the understanding of staff.
Okay, so just one more comment, Steve.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Once we have that design in place, once we're comfortable with that, then the ad hoc committee will look at that and say, okay, we want to add on this. This is what it's going to cost, and then they'll move forward with the fundraising portion to fund that, and we'll go from there. Will we wait until the fundraising is complete to do all this, or how will that work?
I think that's the idea of it, but Matt, maybe you can give some clarification.
I think once we're working with a design firm, they'll be able to give us, what some of the options are, and some of the options the committee talks about, is beach entrance, like a whale tail that spouts water, those kind of things. But I think that is something that we need to engage someone who kind of can give us numbers. I don't think the pool is starting in 2022, but it might be. But I think we need to do this next step to get us to better understand kind of just where we're at, and have someone who not that I don't know what I'm talking about, but knows what they're talking about better than me as far as they're a designer of pools, to give us some additional information.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, good.
And you had mentioned that, excuse me, like the accessibilities and changes to the washrooms. What kind of changes would that involve for the washrooms, Matt?
Yeah, through you, Chair McCabe. And I'm just thinking, like in Hanover, they have a ramp that goes down into the pool so that if you're in a wheelchair, you can get in. But in the change rooms, I'm assuming an accessible washroom. So a washroom that someone who's in a wheelchair or a walker can get into. It'll be consistent with the current version of the building code, maybe is the best comment I can give.
Okay. And like, are we thinking of like family change rooms or, you know, universal change rooms, I think is kind of the norm, or the norm that's being tossed around?
I would just say whatever the building code requires is what I'm thinking, but certainly like this isn't something that's going to happen overnight, and we can talk about it but yeah, family change rooms make more sense than, and they're consistent with the building code. Absolutely. Okay.
Thank you. Any more, excuse me, questions about the that portion? Excuse me. I will note that in the minutes, the ad hoc committee approved option 4 for their splash pad signage. So that was just tucked away in there. It was defeated the last time they had a meeting, only because there weren't the members from the Lions there, and the Lions were there this time. So that's why that is back in the minutes as approved. So I have a recommendation here that the Rec, Parks and Leisure Committee recommend to the Council of the Township of Wellington North that the minutes of the February 23rd, 2021 Mount Forest Aquatics Ad Hoc Advisory Committee be approved, that the Recs, Parks and Leisure Committee recommend the Council of the Township of Wellington North approve design option number 4 for the splash pad sponsorship signage, and that the Rec, Parks and Leisure Committee recommend to the Council of the Township of Wellington North that the staff proceed with a request for proposal for the design of the Mount Forest outdoor pool. Dan, I'm going to have you move that, and Brian, I'll have you second that. All in favor? Thank you very much. I think that's a big step forward. So now staff can go about finding someone that knows what they're talking about, Matt. Only when it comes to the pools. Next up, we have a report. And before we get started, I think this report is just unbelievable. It highlights a tough year that we've had, and a unique year, and how we've had to operate, and some tough things and decisions that we've had to make. So I wanted to give a shout to Matt and all the staff and Rec for putting something like this together and persevering with all the employees and part-time employees as well in this year. That's we're not out of the woods yet, but it's been a struggle, I know, and we've all taken some backlashes from decisions we've made. But I think this background covers it very well. So Matt, I will pass that off to you.
Yep, and thank you, Chair McCabe. And I think the report speaks for itself. And my only comment would be that Mandy, Tom, George, Nick, and Christine and Tasha, they're dealing with Rec every day. And 2020 was a very challenging year. But it wasn't a year that wasn't without accomplishments, as far as you can see the ball diamond capping. There's some projects that got deferred, but we went through our first playground RFP. The programming decision was hard as far as for the summer programming. Anyway, 2020 was a challenging year, but it's a lot more because of the Toms, the Mandys, the Tashas, the Nicks, Christines, and Georges of the world that we were successful in Rec, but certainly willing to take any questions as it relates to the report specifically.
Excuse me. Thanks, Matt. Go ahead, Brian.
Thank you, Steve. Matt, I became aware that the Mount Forest Minor Hockey Association was less than thrilled with the decision to take the ice out. And but I mean, I supported that recommendation, and I still support it. So because I understood the ramifications of leaving it there, but nonetheless, minor hockey had some concerns, and I'm wondering, is there any thoughts or any possibility of financial support for minor hockey as a major user or the major user of the ice surface for any subsequent years in the future to try to help them out in terms of the lost season? Well, 2 lost seasons, really.
Matt, do you want to have a go at that?
There's a lot to unpack there, Matt. Sorry about that, but I think you get the drift of where I'm at.
Yep. No, and through you, Chair McCabe, I would say from a staff standpoint, that hasn't been on our radar, but certainly from a committee and council perspective, if that's something that they want staff to consider, we could. I would say my personal opinion is no, but I'm a pretty negative guy, so I get that.
Jesus. Yeah, I haven't. That was the first time I've heard this, Brian, and I'm not really that in favor of it, because I know when I had a couple of conversations with Mount Forest, they had said that they would have been willing to sponsor or donate money towards keeping the ice in longer. So I'm not sure if monetarily we can offer them anything, but I'm not sure. Go ahead.
I guess I remind the committee that minor hockey did come with an ask for financial support. When was that? Was that last fall? Maybe there was Anson Lewis and there was
Len Rice.
Len Rice, that's right. The 2 of them came looking for some financial support, and it was turned down at that time, and I understand why. That's fine. But I'm just I made a commitment that I would bring it in front of the committee, and I'm trying to and I'm doing that now, and trying to make sure that their concerns are heard, and maybe some consideration given to their ask again for this fall.
Yeah, and thanks for that, Brian. I know when Len and Anson were here, they were, I think one of their fundraisers were selling seats, and I think we were willing to give them a really good price for them to sell their seats at whatever amount that they wanted as well. I think at the time that's as far as we were going to go with actually helping them to fundraise. I don't know if that's changed with the committee or staff. I don't think it has in my mind. So
yeah, how's if I might, Mr. Chair, how's that going, Matt? Have they sold any seats?
Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, through you, Chair McCabe, and Mandy has popped up, so I'm going to defer. Mandy probably knows better than me.
Sure, thank you. Through you, Chair McCabe. So we did promote the program with the minor sports organizations. At this time, they have not taken it up. We did run into COVID last year, so that I think prohibited marketing of the program. But yes, it is certainly available. We are willing to work with any groups who are interested.
Okay, thank you for that, Mandy.
Okay.
And thanks, Brian, for your concern. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say thank you. That's fine. I've fulfilled my commitment, so to speak, I guess.
No, thanks for that, Brian. Those are good points to be raised. So thanks for that. Any questions for you, Councillor Yates, at all?
No, I'm fine.
All right. I have a recommendation here that the Rec, Parks and Leisure Committee receive for information report RPL 2021-004, being a report on the 2020 year in review. And I'll say it was moved by Brian and seconded by Dan.
Just a quick comment, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, go ahead.
So just so that it's clear, my comments do not diminish the report. It is an excellent report, Matt. Thank you very much. I don't want to leave you with the impression that I was trying to be critical of the report. So
no, and you're doing your job as a rep. That's what we're here for. So thanks for that. Seriously.
All the good it did.
Okay, all in favor. Thank you. And now on to, I'll pass it off to Mandy for the Perfect Mind Recreation software demonstration. I think you're going to like this. I got a quick preview yesterday, and it's yeah, it's pretty neat. So sit back and enjoy.
Thank you.
After you, Mandy.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Today's recreation team is very excited to share with you our new booking and program registration software. Yesterday was our official go live date, which meant that our staff began using Perfect Mind to view facility bookings, review contracts, and monthly calendar events. It also meant that our customers will now be able to check facility availability, request to book a space, register for a program, view their family's scheduled activities, and pay invoices online. I apologize for the echoing. Can you hear me okay? Okay. So our plan is to begin marketing the platform in 2 weeks' time. This soft launch will provide our team with additional time to work in a live environment and address any anomalies before it is widely promoted. We will also be providing staff training opportunities to our full-time employees as well as our part-time employees. And I'd like to send a huge shout out to Tasha, who has been working very hard on the back end to ensure a smooth transition from class to the Perfect Mind software. Thank you, Tasha, for your dedication to the project. It is certainly a service level increase for all of our residents and guests, and everything you contribute to the project is greatly appreciated. Before we begin the presentation, I'd like to also thank committee, council, and our entire team for patience and cooperation. This project is a true team effort, and we know it will benefit our community for many years to come. So at this time, I'd like to pass it over to Tasha to provide us with a demonstration on how we will complete bookings on the back end in Perfect Mind.
Good morning, everyone. I'm just going to share my screen.
Thanks for joining us, Tasha, and thanks for all your help in the background. I know when Mandy and I were looking at this yesterday, she had said to me, and like just what she said today, that owe you a lot for doing this, and it's pretty spectacular. So thanks very much.
Oh, thank you. Okay, so I have most of our contracts in for 2021. I brought those all over from class. I did leave a couple so that I could show you how it is done here. We have all of our clients and everyone has an account. So these are the accounts. So you'll see our user groups here. To make a reservation, you have to go to advanced reservation. And I'm going to do a booking for the Mount Forest Agricultural Society. And this one is for their 2021 Fall Fair, which will hopefully happen. Select our dates, which is August 20th is the first date. So if we wanted to, we could just set to the location we wanted, which would be Arthur or Mount Forest or Con or Damascus. Just have them all in here. Sorry, I'm gonna do the Christmas craft show. 12th. So that's pretty easy. We just pick our time that we want to start at, 9:30, and ends right at 7. You have to pick a number of guests. First ones that we don't know, I've just been putting in one. And it's pretty easy. We just go here. And here's the beginning of the contract. So For the Egg Society, of course, they don't get charged a fee, but if we were going to, these are all the fees that are entered here that we can select that go with the community hall. And so then to add the other ones, it's the same process. So very easy. So that I would just pick, then they also have the leisure hall. Which I've gone by somewhere. Yeah. So same exact thing. Every booking you just do. And to access the contract, you're just back up here and manage contract. So that's as easy as that is. If we were, once we are going to process this, I won't do it now because I have a few more things to add in there. We process it and that firms it up. I can show you what the calendars look like.
And the calendars are live, is that right, Tasha?
Yes. So right now, George and Nick will be looking at these for their bookings. So we can go like this, and this is all the bookings that are in for the month of March.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So.
Wow.
So then if you wanted to view it without, so I mean, it might be a little confusing because it doesn't necessarily tell you in that calendar view which is in which facility. So then this would just be Arthur's facilities or Arthur's bookings here for the month of April.
If I was a member of the public and I went in and looked at that, can I see who's got it booked, or I can just see that it is booked and I can't have it? Like, would I be able to see that the health unit is booked on the 13th of April?
So Mandy's going to show you the front end of the software. Okay. But no, right now we have it set so that they have to call for reservations. Eventually, when we do get it more live for the facility end of things, it will show that there is a booking, but it will not show who it is for.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Mandy. Or sorry, Tasha, I don't know if you were...
No, unless anyone has any questions on the process of booking the facility.
I think that's pretty neat. I know Dan's probably itching to get the con recreation facility booked up, so hopefully you can navigate through that. So thanks, Tasha. That's good. That was a great back end look at it. So thanks very much. And I guess over to you, Mandy.
Sure. Thank you, Chair McCabe. Thank you, Tasha, for sharing how we would process on the back end. Now I will be sharing my screen just to walk you through what it looks like to rent a facility from a member of the public standpoint, and also what it looks like to rent a facility. So just going to share my screen here. All right, so to get to our software, what you would want to do is go to government, go to departments, and then once that comes up, you would want to go to recreation. And for a facility rental, click on the facility rental tab. This is where you would be clicking, and it will take us to the Perfect Mind software. Now, the goal is that you don't realize that you've left our website necessarily, but you're able to now book facilities. So if we go to a room rental, as you can see here from the front end, this is what a member of the public will see. You can determine which type of hall you would like to rent. The difference between right now, say the Arthur Community and Hall in the upper the upper hall and the Damascus hall is the Damascus hall is call for reservation because they have a separate booking system that they then send to us. So we didn't want to interfere with that. And with the community halls in Arthur and Mount Forest, it will require approval. So if I wanted to book the Mount Forest Plume Room, I would click choose. It provides a information in regards to what's in the room, our facility halls hours, a picture of the facility, and then a map as well. So I want the Plume Room. I would like it for 2 hours. I'm going to have, it's just going to be myself. As you can see, you cannot book tomorrow and you can't book Thursday. We have a 2-day minimum. And that just allows us time to confirm that we have the appropriate staffing, that there isn't any insurance or other requirements for the booking. So that gives us time to approve that. So I would like it at 8 a.m. It will automatically book it for the 2-hour block because that's what I put in. It tells me what I'm about to book. I'm going to request that. Now it's saying because I'm going through the booking process, I have to create an account. So I already have a personal account created. So I'm going to log into that. If you didn't, you would just click the sign up button there and create your account. It knows because my email is associated with it that it's me who's booking. So I'm going to check that off. Click next. So my fee, it automatically populates. Our hourly fee is $35 an hour. Because I booked it for 2 hours, it's already got the $70 fee in there. Now I'm going to submit the request. And here's my facility rental agreement. So as you can see, it says that this is not a confirmed booking because we have not received the facility rental agreement signed back and the fee payment and damage deposit. So this facility rental agreement, it outlines my information. It has the facility and the room, the time, the date. When you come down, it includes all of our conditions of use for renting a hall. And then at the bottom, it has your digital client signature. So that's what it looks like from a facility booking perspective. If I would like, I can add this booking to my calendar and then it's already in there. If I would like to do a program registration, so seeing as I'm already logged into my account, if I would like to go through for a program registration, I would click on the summer day camp. Now all of the day camps are listed here right through. As you can see, all of these say more information except for this one. And the reason they say more information is because registration will not open until April 1st. We left this one open for the purposes of the demo today. As you can see, there's 16 spots left. The age range, it's every day, 9 to 4, July 5th to the 9th. So I'm going to register for that. Here it provides the cost, $145, no tax, 9 to 4 every day. It's in the Arthur Upper Hall. Here's a bit of a brief description. Extended care is available upon request. Please ensure snacks and lunches are peanut and tree nut free. So this looks like the one that I want to register. So I click register. I want to register Jacob for it. I click next. As you can see up here, it says one spot is held for 20 minutes. So that gives me 20 minutes to kind of work through my own schedule on the back end. I'd fill out this information. Nothing's applicable there. Next. So here it's telling me that I have successfully put that in. I can now check out. So at this point, if I would like, I would be able to go through with my personal credit card, and I could put the payment on, and that would be the order. I would receive a receipt for having him registered, and then that would be added. So I'm going to leave this because I'm not actually going to register him at this time. And it would now be added to my schedule. So the really neat thing about Perfect Mind, under your own profile, you're able to see all of your information. I'll note that I wish I was 21. I am not. We've chosen
Nice try.
we've selected amalgamation for our adult age range, because we don't care as long as you're over the age of 18. So 01, 2000 is our adult age. So here, if Nixon and Jacob and myself were all, the boys were registered in day camp and I was registered in a yoga class, I would select the three of us. And on this calendar, I would now be able to see color coded as to what activities our family was involved in. I could export that to a PDF, print it, save it, whatever I would like. For activity outcomes, if the children are registered in swimming lessons, that would be displayed here. Attendance history displayed here. Any transactions I've made are displayed here, and then our financial information is held as well. As you can see, this still says that it's being held because I never actually completed the transaction. So that will be held there for me for the next 20 minutes.
Very cool. I think it just brings us right up, up to speed. And it's once people get onto this, they'll probably wonder why we hadn't done this earlier. But I want to thank you as well, Mandy, and the rest of the staff, again, with you, Tasha, as well, putting that all together, the front end and the back end, to make it that much more easier. People won't want to come into the office, I don't think, for the next foreseeable little while. So hopefully this helps out quite a bit. Go ahead, Matt.
Yep, and through you, Chair McCabe, I would just say that Mandy and Tasha have done a lot of background work as it relates to setting it up to financial GLs and coordinating with the finance team that again, you don't want to see. But there's a lot of work that is going on behind that program that, again, isn't fun to see. It's just some work. But Mandy and Tasha have stick handled that well.
Great, thank you. Thanks for that, Matt. Go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, it's obviously it's taken a while to get to this point, but it looks like it's certainly a great program, and it's gonna be a very nice addition to the recreation department booking. Mandy, I wanted to ask one quick question. When you book the Plume Room, let's say, go back to that. Was there a spot in there, like say somebody needed the kitchen, or they needed a microwave, or they needed a microphone, or that type of thing? Is there a spot in there, or let's say it was a licensed event? Is there places in that registration to put that type of information in there?
So through you, Chair McCabe, at this time, you can't put in the additional information. However, because it's just a request for the facility, Tasha, George, Nick, Tom, myself, Matt, whoever will be going through those requests, and we'll be able to follow up with that renter to say, that customer to say, is this, if they rent, say, a Prime Day on a Saturday, for example, in the Mount Forest Community Hall, but it's for a Stag and Doe, they would be automatically given the prime rental rate, but our Stag and Doe is actually a little bit more expensive. So when Tasha's going through those booking requests, she would be able to say, like, okay, so this is actually Stag and Doe, so your fee is this. There's going to be a SOCAN charge or a resound charge for licensed music. She'll be able to talk to them about corkage fees and that sort of thing. So there's still going to be some staff action.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. Go ahead, Brian.
If a person wants to rent a facility and they just pick up the phone and call you, will they be just thrown back and said, nope, go to the website, or will you still be able to help them?
Through you, Chair McCabe, absolutely, we will be able to help them with the facility rental process. So When Tasha was giving us the back end view, you could see there was already some names and contact information in there. So Tasha has created those accounts for them. She's moved their bookings over. If they would like to have access to their account, we just resend a login information alert to them, and then they have access to that themselves. But otherwise, no, we'll absolutely be willing to support any member of the public.
Excellent, excellent. Because I know when my mother calls to book a football party, she won't want to use the website. She'll want to talk to a person.
This is Wellington North, Brian, where customer service is #1.
Sorry, a hockey party. Sorry, not football. And I know your customer service is top notch. I know that because living next door to Southgate, you've learned over the years how to do it right.
All right.
Fair enough. We'll leave it at that. No, this is great. I think this is propels us into the kind of into the future. I think it's going to streamline it for everyone. And thanks for putting that all together. I know there's got to be a lot of work just even moving the the emails or the information that we have on clients already, and then hooking up with accounting and stuff like that. That would be a tough slug. So thanks very much for that. It looks a lot easier to use than it probably was to set up. So, so thanks very much for that. Any other questions, Brian or Dan?
Nope.
Great. All right. Thank you very much again for that. And we'll move to new business. And Matt, I'll pass this off to you. It's the draft for the Mount Forest Ag Society agreement. So I'll let you get through this.
Yeah. And through you, Chair McCabe, there's a draft agreement that staff has worked on as it relates to the Mount Forest Agricultural Society. It has been shared with them, but I think this conversation is important. I think in April, we need to come to resolve. I guess there's sort of 3 items that I think are maybe top of mind. One of which is the parking, which I think the agreement we've written goes hard on them about parking, but it's hard for us as township to preclude parking when there's baseball. So I'm not sure what the silver bullet is there. As far as I know, we've received complaints about parking, but I also know that when there's baseball on the south side of the fairgrounds, or when there's soccer, people park everywhere too. So I'm not sure how that resolves itself. The other thing that I guess as a staff, we've put forward a recommendation, but I don't know if you want it to totally marry with the Victory Church agreement, or if you want it to marry with the election.
That was actually I had a question here for you, Matt. Were we going to align with the agreement with Victory Church, and then after that, will the agreement afterwards? I guess the next term after this term, will that go into the next term of government for us, so that it's like the second year into the term after the next election? If you can,
yep.
That's as clear as mud.
Yep. No, and I understand what you're saying, Chair McCabe. I think the way the agreement is written right now is it's 5-year terms, but obviously elections are 4-year terms. And it's more, do we need to marry up to the Victory Church agreement? Which if we do, then we can very easily. But I don't think the agreement that's presented to you marries up 100% with the Victory Church. So maybe I'm going to defer to Mandy right now just for 2 seconds if she's willing to chime in.
Please do.
Sure. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Chair McCabe. So the current draft agreement, if you look at term of agreement 1A, so the Mount Forest Victory Church agreement ends on August 17th, 2024. So we do have it in there right now to the first term of the Ag Society agreement would finish at the same time as the Mount Forest Victory Church agreement. 1B notes that should this agreement be in good standing and should there be no changes required, that it will be renewed with each term of council on a 4-year term. So that next agreement would commence then August 18th, 2024, and it would expire December 31st, 2028. So that would be midway through the next term of council. So it does kind of have both in there right now.
Okay, great. Thank you. Just wanted some clarification on that. So that's good. Thank you. Go ahead, Mike. It's welcome.
Hey, through you, Chair McCabe, as it relates to the agreement and Victory Church, Brian probably wasn't part of these conversations. Part of the thinking at the time with Victory Church and the direction that council gave to staff was to honor the existing terms of the Victory Church lease agreement for the old arena, but that was the extent that they wanted to commit. Victory Church wanted a longer term, a much longer term around that, but the council wanted to create some opportunity at the end of the Victory Church lease to consider what to do with that property and the adjoining properties associated with the arena. So that was the direction that staff was given at that time as it related to the Victory Church agreement, and thus the reason you see the term of the agreement as it relates to the Ag Society. Having that flexibility around the property was seen as an opportunity. So what that may or may not present, and 2024, I can't predict. There has been interest over the years, and Councillor Yake probably knows this better than most, over the years around that property, around the old arena. And I would say there is opportunity. We're seeing significant growth in Mount Forest. We're going to run out of lands to develop in Mount Forest, especially as part of the core of Mount Forest. So that's the part of the thinking, is to create that opportunity. So I just wanted to remind committee a little bit about that, and maybe give Brian some insight in terms of the conversation that happened around the Victory Church lease agreement and how we ended up where we are. Thanks.
Thanks, Mike. Do you have any questions on that, Brian, at all, now that you've just kind of been informed of it for the first kind of time?
No, I do recall some of the conversations over the years regarding that property, and I mean, even going back when we were going to build a new arena, you know, that there was an opportunity on that property as it is. I think absolutely it makes a lot of sense to provide some opportunities to adjust things if needed from both perspective, the leaser and the leasee. So, no, I haven't got any questions. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Brian. Dan, do you have any further questions?
No, I'm yeah, I like the way it's laid out here. So no, that's good.
And I think we were going to try and have someone from the Ag Society join us by phone, but I don't think they were able to today. So we'll leave it at that. Go ahead, Matt.
Yep, and through you, Chair McCabe. The only other thing I would highlight is this agreement kind of sets out ownership as it relates to the two buildings and the fences and the, I don't know what you call it, but the place where the announcer sits. So those are things that are more detailed in this agreement. And I think the Ag Society feels they own those structures, which from a staff or from Matt's standpoint, I don't know if that's true or not. I'm not sure I'm really that bothered by it. But I just wanted to make sure that the buildings, the fences, and the announcer post, is that what they call it? I don't know, but the
announcer stand.
That's it. So, but the Ag Society feels they own all those, which that's something, again, that's part of this agreement that wasn't part of previous agreements. That's all I would say to committee.
Yeah, go ahead, Dan.
I just wanted to ask, so has there been, like, is the Ag Society aware that this is, I know they wanted a long-term agreement, but are they aware that this is going to be a shorter term agreement? Has that discussion happened?
Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, through you, Chair McCabe. So at the last committee meeting, you know, they're asking for 7-year terms. We have shared this with them, but we shared this with them recently. Okay. But I think as long as committee here reviews it, we're going to share it with them again, and they'll have an opportunity in April to come to committee you know, to advocate for what they feel is right.
Sure.
But yeah, that's kind of the status.
Yeah. Okay. No, fair enough.
Thanks. And Mike, I wanted to ask you a quick question. Sorry, Brian, I'll get to you in 2 seconds. I think, are you all right with them owning the announcer stand and the office and the sale barn, depending if they keep it in? I just wanted to clear the air.
They can have it all, Steve, as far as I'm concerned.
I kind of thought that might be your answer. But... All right, go ahead, Brian.
I just wanted to ask, I mean, the parking thing, I know it's a tough one, but I think there's an opportunity here to bring some closure to that whole issue, or at least some clarification. And I know there's been a stab at it here in this agreement. So it'll be interesting to see what the Ag Society, what their thoughts are. But I think in the interest of safety, if nothing else, some clarification around the parking issue needs to be fleshed out a little better. So we'll see where it goes, but I think that's an important piece of this long term anyway.
And I know when Mandy and I chatted yesterday, there was some discussion about horse trailers and stuff like that during the fair. And so are they temporarily allowed on the infield to drop the horses off and they have to move? So those are, I think, questions that we can ask them when they come to committee our next meeting in April. So then clear the air with that as well and see how it goes. Any other questions or comments? I have none. Any new business from you, Dan?
No, none from me.
All right, I have none. Councillor Milne?
I'm good as long as Dan gets a haircut before the next meeting.
Don't you worry. Wait till you see me on the weekend.
Oh, okay.
I won't ask what's going on the weekend, but
don't ask. Yeah, don't ask, don't tell.
I have a recommendation here moved by Dan and seconded by Brian that the Township of Wellington North Rec Parks and Leisure Committee meeting of March 2nd, 2021 be adjourned at 9:32 a.m. All in favor? Thank you very much. Thanks for
Thank you all, gentlemen and ladies. Good meeting.
Councillor Yates, can you stay on the meeting?